I would welcome Priyadarshan Sahasrabuddhe, another very gusty entrepreneur, I would say, again working in a very challenging space in the urban sector. So Priyadarshan, welcome onto the show in the series that we are having today. Wonderful to have you. Uh, Quick introduction about Priyadarshan. He's another IIT graduate. So we have two IIT graduates working on some very, very difficult problems. And a very double degree in mechanical engineering, but something that he attended, which was the Nirman program of Dr. Rani and Dr. Bang's. This thing actually helped him sort of figure out what he wants to do, which eventually led to the creation of Chakradhar Lifestyle Solutions. This team has been working together for the last 7 odd years, led by Priyadarshan, and they have worked they've come up with about 3 different solutions. One is wet waste, food waste, converting that into biogas, sorry. Then the second one is human waste and converting that into biogas. They've got a lot of installations in commercial installations, 300 plus, 350 plus installations of their products, which is quite admirable. Interestingly, they've also got a cafe in Pune, Cafe Climate, which is entirely run on the biogas that is generated. Interestingly, since 2019, even Priyadarshan's own home has never used LPG. That's fantastic. I mean, it's like eating your own dog food, as they say. So Priyadarshan, you've actually shown that you can run an entire home on biogas. Challenges are going to be there, no doubt. This is not an easy space to work in. So thank you so much for agreeing to share your journey in addressing urban waste and trying to come up with solutions. Over to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah.
And good evening to everybody. Good evening, Joginder, Mahesh, Utkarsha, Ranjit, Amisha, Sakshi. I'm just saying good evening to all of you. I know this medium, this online medium can be a little boring to keep your attention, but I'll try to be as energetic as possible to keep you all awake. Let me just begin with what we do, because sometimes I keep talking, and then by the end I've realized I haven't even explained what I do. So I have made a very short presentation. Chaitanya, can I request you to share it? And also, I would like to thank Ravindra for the earlier presentation, because I believe he has explained the boundary of the problem, the boundary in which we are trying to solve this problem, the boundary of the commercials, the boundary of the psychology, the boundary of implementation of law. The same holds for me also. The same boundary in which I am trying to solve this problem. So I'll quickly tell about what I do, and then I'll really get into the why of it. So we are known as Vaayu Biogas, and the theme around which we are solving is our generation, you and I. And when I say generation, I believe it's if you and I are alive at the same time, we belong to the same generation. So you and I standing so that we do not inherit the problems that we now know to the future generation. So it's our generation standing for the generations to come. One interesting thing is we cannot now feign ignorance. We cannot say, oh, we did not know these problems. We very well know these problems now. And therefore, I believe it's a generational calling. It's something that everything side, and we got to solve these big problems. That's the scale, that's the level at which I look at this, the problem of climate, the problem of environment and fossil energy. So Vaayu is essentially a energy generation method which will last for the generations to come. So there's a pun on that. It's an energy generation method also. But it's you and I standing for the generations to come so that we do not inherit these problems to the next generation. Next. So we make next. Uh, okay. So I've already explained the purpose, but I also want to tell you one nice fun fact. When we decided to register our organization, we applied to the registrar of companies, and the certificate that I got when our company got incorporated dated 22nd of April 2019, which means even our government wanted our organization to be registered on the Earth Day. So it's a very positive coincidence. So we have been founded on Earth Day in 2019. This happens to be our 7th year of operation. Next. I want all of you to take one very important piece of science, a number which you will really be able to think about in the future. When we cook at home, we are a family of 4, 5, average. Some families are bigger, some families are smaller. On an average, we need about 1 cylinder per month of cooking gas. If we wanted to generate an equivalent amount of energy from waste, here is how it would look. About 10 kg of raw waste, which is fruit peels, vegetable cuttings, if we convert into energy every day for 1 month, it will be equivalent to 1 cylinder. Having said that, if you have the waste in the form of wheat flour or sugar in the form of waste, for example, there is a flour mill near your house, and whatever flour which gets wasted on the floor, so that you will need only 1 kg. Why I am keeping this number in front of you? Because waste is actually food, is not a standard entity. The energy value of the waste is just like when we want to control our weight, we look at the calories that we are eating. Similarly, the potential of your waste to generate energy also depends on the calorie content of the waste in that food. So like Ravindra sir explained, if you are making 1 kg of 0.8 kg, that was, let's assume 1 kg of waste per home. Okay. And that waste will be somewhere calorie wise in between these two. Okay. So if it is closer to this, it will be 1/10 of a cylinder. If it is closer to this, it will be 1 cylinder. So the power of the waste that you're throwing out is somewhere in between. Anywhere between 0.1 cylinder to 1 cylinder per month. So that's the amount of energy we are actually throwing out. Plus, we are creating a huge problem, which is transported away from our city somewhere out. So we transport the problem geographically, and we transport it in time for our next generation to solve. So this is what we are doing when we don't manage our own waste. I'd like to pause here, and if people have any questions about it, I'd like to take it right away.
We don't have any questions yet, but I think I would ask people to, like, it's good that you asked Priyadarshan for people to chip in with their questions. I think there is a question. Please go ahead, Siddharthi.
Yeah. So my question is, this 10 kgs of waste, it's immediately processed, or it has to be again done something and then used for the cylinder? I mean, what is the process in between? Is something you're coming to, or?
Yeah. So essentially, you have to put your waste into the biogas system as is, and it's once the system starts to function, which takes about 45 days from the date of installation, between a month to a month and a half. It will reach its design capacity, and it's a 24-hour cycle. So every day you put in waste and every day you will get gas.
Okay.
Okay.
So if there's less raw material on a certain day, how does it affect?
You get less amount of gas. That's
Okay,
all.
it doesn't get
And
spoiled or anything.
yeah, and primarily it's a waste management solution.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the core, the primary objective is to manage waste.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
There is, I think,
Answer
a
to Keval's
question.
question is yes, it can. Like I cook entirely on
Okay.
waste, and however, my own waste is not sufficient for me to go LPG free. I get waste from my neighborhood. Okay. There was a question by Sudha. Sudha, would you like to
Yeah,
speak?
I think Sudhata, she asked it. So
Yeah, I
Yes.
got my answer. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay.
Thank
Fine, fine.
you.
Got it, got it. Okay. Yeah, next. What about non-vegetarian waste? So, sorry, I lost that question. What about non-vegetarian waste? So, I'll give you the science. Any biomass in principle can go in. So, but however, if you are referring to bones, when you mean by non-veg, a bone is not energy. A bone is a calcium compound. It's not a carbohydrate in form. So the bone will not give you any energy. The bone will just go in and it will have to be removed out when we do the 6 monthly servicing. How much waste is needed to generate an LPG for a house of 4? So if you're using average, say on an average 1 cylinder per month, and if you have a supply of raw waste, then you will need 10 kg per day. If you have a supply of medium calorie waste like I get from a nearby hotel, I need about 4 to 5 kg of waste. What is the cost of the biogas plant for a household? I'll come to the cost. Can it be used in RWA for community? Yes, it can be. We have installed in housing societies. We set up the plants on the terrace and the gas is piped to some of the people who choose to use the gas. So we have set it up in housing societies also. That is RWAs. Okay, I think the questions are covered.
yeah, should we move ahead?
Yes, we'll go to the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how the biogas system looks. On the left is a small module system for one home. So these people install just to manage their own waste. The core again objective being my waste will get managed in this. When you manage your own waste, the energy output that you get is between 10 to 20% of your cooking gas requirement. So it will not make you LPG free, but it will definitely reduce some of the LPG consumption. Then we have the big module system. The big module system can make one family LPG free. Okay. But like in this case, there is some social engineering and work, and which is really exciting to do. I'll tell you one more reason why I would encourage all of you to do this is because when we speak of the problem of climate change, the core reason for climate change is our consumption of fossil energy in the form of cooking gas, in the form of petrol, diesel, and in the form of the electricity that we use, which primarily comes from coal-driven plants. Now, as common people, you and I sometimes feel very helpless because we don't know how to hit the root of the problem, which is actually our fossil energy consumption. Now, with a biogas system, you enter the zone of action where you start to make your own energy. And around action, a large form of your psychology your starts to change. So if any of you ever gets burdened by the fact that we feel helpless, what can I do? This will act as an antidote for that negativity. Yeah, so this is the big biogas. I'll explain how you can get LPG free from this. So I collaboratively work with the people who collect waste in my neighborhood. And the lady supplies waste to me between 4 to 5 I need about 4 to 5 kg per day, the kind of waste that she supplies to me. And for supplying that waste, she just gives me a little dabba full of waste, which she's anyways collecting from the neighborhood. She earns 300 rupees per month for that waste. So in some sense, we are creating value for the waste, which is directly received by the person who is working in that waste. And then we have the multi-module systems for institutions, companies who have canteens, for housing societies. These are multiple modules which are placed. Quite similar to Ravindra sir's systems. So they are modular in nature. And based on how much waste is there, we decide the number of modules. So now the system that you see here is in a canteen in Pune University. It manages the waste of that canteen. Next. The Himalayas, the question is right. So the system does not operate in low temperatures. So the case that you have mentioned right now, the kind of systems we have will not function directly, but it's an engineering solution that we have not solved it right now, but is essentially how to insulate it or how to add heat. This is a feature we do not have in our system right now, but it is something that can be solved in principle, but right now I don't have the solved problem. So we have about 200 people who are using Vaayu in their house, in a flat, in a balcony, in a bungalow. Then we have about nine housing societies where we have set up. We have 20 food businesses like restaurants or resorts. Many company canteens. Actually, this is not 5 plus, this is more than 20 plus. That's a mistake. Some government institutions, some educational institutions. So we have a lot of installations and we have some amazing customers. And like Ravindra sir was mentioning, how do we actually navigate to find a paying buyer? Okay, it's not always about affordability. It's about building a psychology to pay even those 4,000 rupees, for example, which is one time. So I believe as a climate entrepreneur, we have to ride on the modern media, the modern social media, to create the psychology um, which will encourage the person to take a buy decision, to create the positivity around taking a buy decision. This is one of the tools that we have. Needless to say, many others were mentioned by Ravindra sir, like implementation of the law, etc. Interestingly, I must share this positive happening in Pune city right now. Currently, we have a very dynamic officer who is in the Pune Municipal Corporation. And she is really taking the initiative to set these implementation of policy in place. So currently we are, but I do know that I mean, till the positive officer is there, matters will go ahead, then the officer will get transferred and so on. But yeah, sometimes you get these positive windows and we have to benefit when such windows are opened up. Yeah, so I think this was my last slide. So this essentially explains to you the what of it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll again pause here if there are any more questions.
I think there are a couple of questions around types of problems users may face during operations, and what is the kind of income generation possible. I think part of it you've answered in terms of the lady who, at least in your specific case, for those who are collecting wet waste from neighborhoods and giving it to you, they're earning an extra 300 per month for it's about for a minor sort of a work. I mean, the load is not very big in your specific case, but it might vary in terms of the volume of in other places, I guess.
Yes, so I'll explain. So this was one case where the lady is simply supplying waste to me. Okay. Otherwise, she would have got 0 rupees for it. It would have simply, she would have dragged it much ahead in her hand operated cart and placed it at a collection point where the corporation vehicle would have taken it to the dumping site. Okay, so this is definitely an additional income. Um, Having said that, there are institutions, like there is a divisional commissioner office. It's a government office of the divisional commissioner of the division, Pune division. In their canteen, they operate the biogas plant. Now they get paid. We have put up flow meters there, and the canteen uses the gas. Now the gas is measured with the flow meter, and the person who operates the biogas plant is given the remuneration, the value of the gas that gets used. And when that happens, now this is a 10 module system which we have set up. There are 10 modules, so which essentially can manage 100 kg of raw waste, if it is raw waste, or 40 kg of medium calorie waste. So through that, that person earns about 8,000 rupees per month. So essentially, that person is become a climate friendly energy supplier. So by changing this role of that person, they can earn the value of the energy that gets supplied. This is a huge possibility that exists in the field of biogas. About fire hazards. So okay, this is a very this is a tough question. So how is the potential of fire hazard measured? So it is measured in the pressure at which you store the flammable gas. So if you're storing flammable gas at a higher pressure, the pressure hazard is more. For example, LPG cylinder, we are storing at about 16 to 18 bar. However, our biogas is stored at atmospheric pressure. So even the law which applies to the Pressure Vessel Act, wherein you are storing gas at pressure, applies at 1 bar gauge pressure. That means 2 bar absolute pressure. So we are under the compliance. I call these under the radar technologies. So they are under the radar of compliance for their sheer simplicity. And I'll give you another example of an under the radar technology. It's like driving in the city on a cycle. So when you're cycling on the city, you can proudly go beside a policeman because you're not worried he'll catch me, license hai kya, PUC hai kya, insurance hai kya. They have nothing to catch you for. So these are the under the radar simple technologies. So since there is, we are storing at a very, very near atmospheric pressure, they are fundamentally towards safe. Having said that, it's an inflammable gas, so it will definitely burn, just like LPG. How does this model is different? So basically, the gobar gas system is made for gobar. This is made for food waste. So because the input is different in two ways. One, in calorific value, the input is different. Food is a higher calorific value input than gobar. Plus, in the case of gobar, you need to add a lot of water so that you can actually feed the gobar to the system. So in the case of food waste, you don't need to do that also. So these are the two primary use case differences. Yes, the low pressure increases the space needed to store it. Yes, that is right. So for example, I need about 1,000 liter of gas, which is like a 1,000-liter balloon. Okay, so you can put it on the terrace or in a space where you can put a 1,000-liter balloon. So that is correct. We need much more volume to store that much amount of gas because it is at low pressure.
Shaukat is asking about the cost of a small module system and can it be done in Kashmir? I think the second part, which I think Joginderji also asked, you may be, I think the answer probably applies the same, is in terms of finding ways to generate the heat, particularly in the colder temperatures of Kashmir.
Yes.
But what about the costing part? Yeah.
Yes, our small system is priced at 45,000 rupees plus transport and installation. That's the current cost of our home system.
Wonderful. Burning LPG generates hazardous effluents, nitrogen oxide, carbon oxide, benzene, etc. How is the biogas burning any different?
So biogas has two elements. I mean, primarily the burning gas is methane, which is about 60% by volume, 55 to 60%. 40% by volume is CO2. And in trace amounts, about 1000 ppm to 2000 ppm is H2S and a little bit of ammonia. So these trace amounts of gases, which is H2S and ammonia, are burning and creating the necessary sulfates, and but that is in very low amounts. So maybe NO2 also to some extent, but it is in very low amounts. That only biodegradable waste go inside. If some parts are non-biodegradable waste inside, is there any risk? Okay. So I'll first answer your question. There is in principle no risk if any non-biodegradable parts go in. Okay. So it will not particularly affect the biology of the system. However, depending on what non-biodegradable waste is going, it can cause some other issues, like it will block the passages where from the slurry is flowing, and these kind of issues can come up. Okay, but let me tell you one very important learning that I had when I started working in biogas about non-biodegradable waste. So what happened in our system, every 4 to 6 months, we remove the undigested material out. Typically, our food contains fiber. So the fibrous part in the food doesn't get digested in our biogas. It is removed manually outside every 4 to 6 months. When we remove this, I ended up learning a lot. And one very important learning was all the plastic, of course, came out. But the plastic wrappers, which were shiny bright, they hadn't lost even an iota of their shine. They came out shining bright. And that was a huge learning for me that this material that we have created, plastic, it is amazingly useful to us. But nature has absolutely no capacity to degrade it. That was a huge learning for me when I started working in this. And which further, no matter how shiny and bright it looks, and no matter how convenient it may be, we really got to find alternatives because nature has no response to this plastic.
Oh, wonderful. This has been as enlightening as the first one. Probably we've never, I mean, composting is something many of us would have been familiar with, whether it's at a home level or in a community level. But biogas is a new thing for a lot of us particularly from an urban space. And it's actually quite heartening to see that so many, at least in the Pune area, seems like, many organizations have started taking on. Probably it seems like from a economic angle, biogas seems to be adding, it's like a cost reduction thing, particularly for canteens and stuff like that. This for anybody if it can bring down the cost of LPG and gas and so on, this seems to be a very viable or very interesting thing that they can work on. So thank you so much, Priyadarshan. I think there will be more questions along the way, and we can see if we can answer it towards the end. But I think both of you all have really shown the spotlight on the opportunity as well as the issues that are there. In terms of sometimes it may be mindset issues, sometimes it is the science issues, and so on and so forth. But I think overall, looking at the potential that is there and where we are in the journey, we can only hope and that things will change for the better, that both these solutions can actually scale up. The science and technology has already been proven by both of you all and many other co-inventors like you, innovators like you all, who have worked on this space, and hopefully the market would expand rather than shrink further. And typically change will happen when we start noticing the impact on us personally. And hopefully, all of us, someday, if not all of us, most of us will start waking up to reality and say that, okay, yes, there is a solution that we can actually go out and acquire, and it's not out of reach. It's not going to be so expensive that we can't afford it as individuals or as communities. So thanks a lot again, Priyadarshan, for your presentation. It was quite interesting to see what's the potential here. Hopefully you can stay on in case there are other questions that come up, and we can bring you in as well. But now I would